Here we go with a bit more of this to finish off the Attic Nights. 19. Annum. 4. What, utrumque, on either of them, is in its own genere, its own type, its own nature, and through itself, per se, is neither honest nor foul in itself. For this reason, if a father ubiat, if he should order something, it should be followed up, it should be obeyed. 20. Sed annum. But, for instance, if the father should order him to marry a wife, a bk2.8 Noctes, who is infamous, does shameful things, and is a criminal, or that for the defendant of some type of Catiline or a turbulus, guy who accepted bribes, or P. Claudius, anyone who should plead their case if the father orders, obviously he should not parendum it, he shouldn't obey it. Since something is added of a very turpitude, of a foul nature, and it desinut, and it shouldn't be accounted for or done per se, because this is a middle ground and it's very indifferent to the general rule. 201. Non-erga. So it's not therefore integra. So it's not a whole proposition or a complete proposition of them saying either it's honest or it's foul or disgraceful what a father orders. So it's just not the whole case because we have middle ground. Neither is it hygienes. This looks Greek for clean. Nominum, there must be something to do with the name. Doesn't seem able to be named clean and disjunctive, whatever the hell that's going to be in English. 22. Diest. For what is lacking in this disjunction, so dis mean it's not in the union of these other two, it's either to be obeyed or disobeyed, so it's the third ground here. So it's lacking that neither honest nor foul. So when this is added, if this is added, this third union, this junction, joining, you're not able then to conclude, never therefore then should you obey your father. And that's the end of that treatise, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, 8 in Roman numerals of Book 2. What is leastly fair, parum aeque, leastly fair reprehension of Epicurus, which is facticit, which was done by Plutarch in the discipline of synergisms, or whatever you call it, syllogism. 1, so it starts here. Plutarch, in the second of his books, which he had composed de Homer, concerning Homer, imperfectly and preposterously and without a lot of knowledge in skite, this syllogism he is to have used, and he said of Epicurus's own words, he places these words here, the words of Epicurus himself. Okay, so I'll quote the Greek from the Loeb. Death is nothing to us, for what is dissolved is without perception. Okay, so I'll go on to 2. For he has passed by, pray to miss it. He's omitted, you might want to say, if you take it the miss it part. He has said, he's omitted or passed by that what ought to have been sumere, taken up in the first part. More Greek. Blah, blah, blah. The death is a dissolution of body and soul. Okay. Tunc dende, two adverbs. So then, next, with this very same thing which he had omitted, as if he had posited, as if he had placed it or quoted and conceded, he used this to confirming another thing. So he looks like he's omitted it, and now he's using it as if he hadn't omitted it. Autem, however, or moreover, he said, what have we got? This was like a nominative. For this cynicism here to progress, it's not able to, unless it is first posited, is first addressed or placed in there. You could probably whack some commas in there. Okay. So 5. This true, indeed, this is true, what Plutarch scriptured, wrote of syllogisms, or whatever they are, concerning the form and order of them. I should learn how to bloody speak things instead of reading, but I read in my head, so I don't usually have to say that. MC, for if, as it is handed down in the disciplines in the schools, that thus you should velis, you would want to collect, probably a few other meanings, and to rationate, blah, 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 blah. This means thinking, giving reasoning to something. Ratiocinate or something, I think it's in English as well. It's just rarely used. Thus you ought to say this. And I think what throws me off with syllogisms is there's no N in the English version, and anything that gets a few syllables I start stuttering, but we've got some Greek again. What the hell is this on about? Blah, blah, blah. Death is the dissolution of the soul and body. Okay. But what is dissolved is without perception. And what is without perception is nothing to us. Okay. 6. But Epicurus was of this type of homo. He was this type of man. There's an elision there. Homo est. He didn't seem to be in Sceta, so unknowledgeable, that he would pass by, pray to Missy, this part of syllogisms. And neither was it a business to him, or neither was it he was doing this, that a syllogism, just as in the schools of philosophy, with all their numbers or whatever, all their, just leave it as numbers for now since it's close to English, and with their kind of finibus is the boundaries or the limits. So these schools have got, I guess, rules for all their numbers, and they've got limitations. But perfecto, but assuredly, because of separation of mind and body, or soul and body, it's evident in death. He didn't think, non est ratus, it would be necessary to admonish or to warn or to give this information, which process, I guess that's process, which would absolutely obvium to everybody. Obvium usually goes to meat, this probably just means obvious, so he didn't bother telling people what was obvious to them. They could discover them by themselves, especially since he used evident there. Secuti even, just as even that he didn't place in the end the conjunction of this syllogism, which is, I've looked in a lot of dictionaries and I haven't seen a conclusion used for it, but the Loeb uses conclusion here. But in the principle, but in the beginning. So when he was writing this, joining of it, he didn't put it at the end, he put it at the beginning. For who cannot see, this was also done not inexpertly or without thought. So he's nearly concluded here. Okay, so this one has the most definitions. It's not actually in the Lewis and Shaw, it's in the Lewis elementary book. Union, mutual love, fellowship, match, joint occurrence or conjunction, combination, compound proposition, association or affinity. Here's the elementary dictionary. It just says connecting, union, meeting, agreement, marriage, relationship, affinity, friendship, intimacy, connection of ideas. So take what you want from that. Anyway, 9. Apud Plato, amongst the works of Plato also, in many places, Reperias, you will find these syllogisms with a repudiation and a changing of that order, which is handed down in regular teaching, and with a certain type of elegance it is placed, with a contemption or reprehension or sort of out of contempt. But I guess what Gellius is trying to say is that you can disregard the traditional teachings.